This short training video is going to walk you through what it looks like when you refill a chemical tank. And in this example, we're going to assume that you're logged into the application with either operator or supervisor above permissions, so you're able to edit data inside of the app. So in this example, we're also looking at gas chlorine, but the way it works is very similar to a liquid chemical as well. So you can see here, we've been collecting data for our chlorine cylinder. We happen to have two here, and as we look at them, this cylinder is on standby. So it's full. It's measuring about 150 pounds each day, and you can see each day the amount used on that cylinder is 0. Tank 2, however, you can see here about a week ago was at 36 pounds, and it's going down. So the previous day here, we took a 2-pound reading. So it's likely we're going to run out of chlorine the next day. So let's just take a look at this and go to the next day. And let's say overnight the chlorine cylinder changed. So we're going to put in a reading here of, we'll just say it's 145 pounds. But when we came to this tank, it wasn't quite at 0. It was actually reading 1 pound, even though the chlorinator switched it over. So we're going to have to put down that our current reading is 1. Now let's say I am changing the chlorine cylinder out at the same time I'm doing my rounds. In this case, the scale reading before the change is also 1 pound. I'm going to put a new chlorine tank on here, and this is going to read, I'm going to tare it, so it's going to say 150 pounds on it. So I'm going to save that, and you can see what happened here is it still did record a pound of usage because tank 2 used a pound of chlorine before the end of the day. I'm sorry, it used a pound of chlorine before it switched over, and then this tank switched over in the middle of the night, we'll just assume, and we created 5 pounds of usage there. So that is going to be correct for that day. And so now if we scroll down here, it's going to say I used a total of 6 pounds of chlorine. It's going to calculate my dosage accordingly below it. But now let's just pretend like it is the next day here. So in this case, this tank has already started to draw chemical. It's at 145 pounds. So we're going to take the chemical scale reading, and it's going to be at 139.5 on that. That's normal. We can hit save there. It says that I used 5.5 pounds of chemical. But here I ended the day at 150 pounds, and this tank is not being used. So I am going to write 150 pounds down because in this case, my chlorine cylinder has not started to draw its usage. Having a separate reading for the scale reading before change from the scale reading allows you to fill a tank, in this case a chlorine cylinder, or fill a tank from bulk truck or a tank, and have it not be the exact same time you're taking rounds. So you might come around at 8 o'clock in the morning and write down the scale reading and not fill it from bulk till maybe 1 p.m. In which case, if you were doing that here, this reading would be a little bit less, let's say like 138 pounds before you filled it from bulk. So that's what these two different readings are there for. It's for when you actually go to change the chemical or fill the chemical from bulk, you would take separate readings here. Most days when you're not filling from bulk or not replacing a tank or a chemical, these two are going to remain blank. So what Waterly does is the next day, it's going to take its difference from the scale reading after change instead of the scale reading because it knows that you filled from bulk. That allows you to have the minimal amount of data entry and also account for when the tank fills. So in this second example, we're looking at a liquid chemical tank. And I am standing next to the tank in the afternoon as the bulk truck is filling up to fill this tank. And someone took rounds this morning and wrote down 71.5 pounds. But this afternoon, now that I'm there, I can see that the tank level is a little bit lower. And it's at 69.8 pounds. And I can go ahead and save that because I'm going to take that scale reading before the tank is filled from bulk. So now that the tank has been filled from the bulk truck, this actually got filled all the way up to 200 pounds. And that is what the reading is going to be after the bulk tank filled. We're going to save that, and you can see indicating what the level was after the bulk fill does nothing to change the amount used in the previous day. So let's fast forward a day. And now it's the next day, and the operator comes in to make a reading for the day, and they just happen to see that it's at 197.8 pounds. So you can see here, based on the trend, that we've got an increased reading from the previous day. So in this case, it went from 71.5 to 69.8, and then went down from 200 to 197.8 for a total usage of 3.9. So this is why we need to keep track of the final read, which gives us the usage between when we did rounds and when we filled it from bulk. And then we filled from bulk all the way up to 200 pounds, and we went down to 197.8 here. So that summarizes how this uses the both scale reading before change and after change. Hopefully that was helpful.